Most of the world's crystal skulls were allegedly crafted in Central America. The ancient Maya are often credited as their creators. It's ironic, then, that in the year 2012, when the Maya calendar, according to many esoteric thinkers, predicted the end of the world, a crystal skull surfaced in Bavaria. Of course, this skull wasn't made by native Bavarians but was merely discovered there. What makes it special is that this artifact is said to have belonged to the Nazi leader Heinrich Himmler. This video will explore whether this claim is plausible, why Himmler had a fascination with skulls and esotericism, and what happened after the crystal skull was found. The report of the discovery initially appeared in a small esoteric magazine. However, it quickly spread, picked up by Germany's most widely circulated newspaper and numerous mainstream media outlets. Allegedly, the crystal skull had been stored for decades in the attic of a single-family home, inside an old wooden box, which itself was housed in a worn leather satchel, the kind commonly used by soldiers in the 19th and 20th centuries. Now let's examine the skull itself. The crystal object is reportedly 18 centimeters tall and weighs 12 kilograms. From the few available photographs, it appears to have been carved from clear quartz crystal, and strongly resembles the most famous of all crystal skulls, the Mitchell-Hedges skull. However, the Bavarian artifact is significantly larger and heavier. So, what's the truth behind the story of Himmler's crystal skull? To evaluate the plausibility of this claim, we must delve deeply into Heinrich Himmler's mystical and occult beliefs. As Reichsführer SS, Himmler was a central figure in the Nazi regime. He was also widely known for his fascination with the occult. Himmler firmly believed in reincarnation and was convinced that in a previous life, he had been a Germanic king. In Westphalia, shortly after the Nazis seized power, Himmler turned Wawelsburg Castle into a spiritual stronghold for the SS. Here, occult rituals were performed, drawing from both Germanic myths and esoteric teachings. Himmler firmly believed that the Aryans, as a superior race, had a unique connection to mystical and spiritual forces. His unwavering belief in myths and legends led to the establishment of the Ahnenerbe, an SS organization that funded expeditions and research. The goal was to prove the mythical origins of the Germanic people and to search for supernatural artifacts. The Nazis' obsession with finding magically charged objects has even become part of film history. In the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones battles Nazis over the biblical Ark of the Covenant. In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, it's the Holy Grail they seek. Indeed, some Nazi mystics hoped to find magical artifacts that would make the Third Reich invincible. This quest for spiritual wonder weapons led them to the farthest reaches of the world, including Tibet. Crystal skulls held a special appeal for Himmler's SS for two reasons. According to legend, they supposedly contained the spiritual power and immense knowledge of ancient civilizations. Additionally, there was the SS's fascination with skulls themselves. It was Himmler who introduced the skull as the emblem of the SS. The skull rings he awarded to senior SS officers were meant to symbolize death and rebirth, underscoring the regime's occult character. Upon the death of their wearer, regardless of where it occurred, the ring was to be returned to Wawelsburg in a special occult ceremony, where it would be stored forever. This highlights Heinrich Himmler's obsession with skulls. But what connects him specifically to the crystal skull? And who would have been tasked with acquiring such an artifact for him? This brings us to Otto Rahn. This researcher and author was supported and financed by Himmler to search for the Holy Grail and other mystical objects. Rahn's books strongly influenced Himmler and shaped his spiritual beliefs. Rahn's life ended under mysterious circumstances. He died in 1939, just days before his planned wedding, where Himmler was personally expected to attend. Rahn's death occurred after a fall from a mountain in Tyrol. Since the exact circumstances of his death remain unclear, rumors quickly spread. Some speculated that Rahn was murdered on Himmler's orders, while others believed the dark practices of the SS drove him to his death. It wasn't until 2012 that it became evident to outsiders that Rahn might have succeeded in his search for the crystal skull. On the Bavarian attic, along with the crystal skull, a list of 35 valuable artifacts was found. Entry number 14 on the list read, "Crystal Skull, Rahn Collection." As the end of the war approached, these treasures were supposed to be taken to safety. The SS had identified a location in the Sudetenland, now part of the Czech Republic. This raises the question of why the crystal skull and its accompanying documents were stored in the attic. The elderly woman who owned the attic reportedly came into possession of these items through a relationship with an SS Obersturmbannführer. but seemed to pay little attention to them for years. Since the treasures on the list never reached their intended destination, it seems plausible that individual SS members kept some items for themselves. In the chaos of the final days of the war, this went largely unnoticed. But what remains of this spectacular accidental discovery, now that so many years have passed? Initially, plans were made to obtain expert assessments to verify the authenticity of the documents. Similar examinations were planned for the crystal skull to determine whether it was a millennia-old artifact or a 19th-century imitation. Since then, however, there has been suspicious silence about the skull. It's unclear why. Did the owners withdraw their consent for an investigation? Or did the skull and documents turn out to be fakes? Not even this information has been made public. As a result, much about this case, and the case itself, remains shrouded in mystery. What remains is the tantalizing notion that a powerful spiritual artifact may once have been in the possession of Heinrich Himmler. This idea sends shivers down the spine. But even if it were true, it seems the crystal skull provided Himmler with little otherworldly assistance. Shortly after the war ended, Himmler was captured by British forces and committed suicide in their custody. Other reports suggest he was beaten to death by his British captors and buried in an unmarked grave. That was the story of Heinrich Himmler's crystal skull. Do you find it plausible, or was it merely a sensationalist hoax? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, support our channel with a like and a subscription.